do want to kind of kick us off, just a little bit of a preamble, because Google, they have an official list of best games, and I think it's kind of lame. So this is Google Play's best apps and games of 2024, best multi-device game, Clash of Clans, the best ongoing game, Honkai Star Rail, best on Play Pass, Kingdom Rush 5 Alliance, best for Google Play games on PC, Cookie Run Tower of Adventures. It's nothing against the developers making games. They're bringing them to mobile, but it's getting pretty tired how Google always seems to nominate and award the games that support more in-app purchases and microtransactions. But if I can spend a couple of bucks and never have to deal with predatory game mechanics, then that's where I want to spend my time and where I want to spend my money. So with that preamble out of the way, now let's talk about some games. So my list is broken up into two sections, and this one was kind of tricky for me to sum up. Mobile has become an incredible platform for patient gamers, folks like me who find games later, and that's often where you get the best deals on games. I mean, it used to be the last life for a game, I guess we could port it over to Android. But increasingly, we're starting to see more games arrive in more reasonable time windows. So all of these games were released on Android this year, but were available on other platforms before 2024. But this is kind of just a general list, my top 6, if you will, patient gamer games on Android for 2024. So number 6, The Dark Side Detective, a love child of the Space Quest or King's Quest story adventure, merged with the trappings of Twin Peaks. Dark Side Detective is a charming return to classic PC gaming, served up in small bite-sized mystery chunks. Originally launched in 2017, I think this style of gameplay works really well in a tap-to-explore mobile container. The quirky comedy won't overstay its welcome, and the music is pretty solid too. Next up, we've got Caves of Lore. Pixel art style gaming was a running theme for me this year, and seeing Caves of Lore from 2023 arrive on mobile, that made me really happy. It's classic, old school RPG gaming, but where a lot of retro-inspired gaming is often slimmed down or simplified for modern audiences, Caves of Lore keeps a lot of the character stats and number tracking that drew nerds like me to old fantasy games. Definitely one you should check out. This is a biggie for me. Coming from 2019, if you like more action in your RPG and turn-based combat just isn't gonna do it for you, you should absolutely take Children of Morta out for a spin. Now, I went pretty hard on roguelikes in general over the last couple years, but seeing Children of Morta on mobile got me to give it another replay. Top-down shooter mechanics, procedural dungeons, unlockable characters with different playstyles. It's all a growing boy could want for some fun fantasy action. I'm not exaggerating when I say Loop Hero is one of the best roguelites ever made. Now, it borrows a visual style from tower defense and city building games, but it's simple as you're watching your little stick figure walk a loop and slash at blobs, but the game turns up the heat as you start building up materials and unlocking new abilities. It's a wild take on the fantasy RPG genre. I burned a lot of time playing it on my Steam Deck, and I had to give it a second go around as it made its way to mobile this year. I was torn on including Blasphemous on this list, as I honestly only like it. I don't know that I love it. There's a flavor of action platforming combat where I was really drawn to games like Dead Cells. There's a tone to the art style and the story in Blasphemous that I just don't like as much. If it's just a little edgier, it kind of takes me out of the vibe. Blasphemous still rewards a precision platforming get good kind of vibe, especially through some really fun boss fights. And if you really like classic Castlevania games, that animation, like you take damage and it kind of knocks you for a loop. But I have to credit though, for a platformer arriving shortly after Dead Cells and with a gothic motif, it's absolutely not a clone, and it should be a unique and fun experience for a Metroidvania fan. My top award for patient gamers in 2024, the Total War series is an ambitious style of play to do well on mobile, and Empire, the Empire Edition, is fantastic. Now, we're talking about a nearly 15-year-old game at this point, but it's still a grand experience even on smaller screens. It's a blend of real-time battles and turn-based strategy. It's a fun refresh of a PC classic. Now, the graphics will feel a bit dated, but considering the number of units that need to be animated at any given time, it is still impressive how well this runs on our mobile devices. Again, just that little bit of polish, bringing it up to the modern era and revamping some of the controls so they work better on touchscreens. This is a huge labor of love, and if you like this style of gameplay, you can burn a lot of time on Total War, Empire, taking my top pick, Games for Patient Gamers in 2024. Now, here's my list of the top premium games released either exclusive to mobile or the developer launched a mobile version in the same year they published a PC or a console version. This is huge progress in bringing good games to Android. We're seeing this window accelerate. I kind of had to say this one was my least favorite. I kind of fell out of the JRPG vibe after the 16-bit console era, Chrono Trigger for life, cough cough, and I kind of check out as soon as I see gameplay of an anime babe running around with a low camera angle pointing up past her miniskirt, but that design strike notwithstanding, I can't fault how ambitious X Asterisk is. It's a pretty big game with an interesting story, and once you wrap your brain around the in-world systems, I think fans of the genre will have a really good time. Interestingly enough, this does not seem to have a PC or console version that I can find. It's graphics rich, it's a really big, bold, ambitious game. It started on mobile, and I think it only lives on mobile for now. Now, it's making this list mostly because I just think it's refreshing to see this style of gameplay with a buy it once price tag. It's not seasons or microtransactions, and I think that kind of purchasing should be supported. I mean, it's the whole reason I'm making this list. We're going to Slice and Dice, another fun twist on the RPG blending roguelike aspects. Slice and Dice is a brutal combat number generating machine. You start with 5 dice heroes and roll those dice during your combat encounters. Each round, you improve your combat stats and you need to defeat 20 levels of monsters in a perfect run. Lose one encounter and you have to go all the way back to the start. Folks who like that live, die, repeat will find a ton to dig into here. It's really meaty with a lot of replayability. And plus, I just want to point out how much I hate Google's system of reporting in-app purchases. Slice and Dice has a free demo. You can start playing it for free and then you unlock the whole game in one purchase. Google just lists that as an in-app item for $9, making it look just like every other game with microtransactions. Now, this is the business model I think more consumers should support, and I feel like Google should be investigated for these kinds of business practices where they won't properly disclose the differences between predatory monetization and responsible single purchase experiences. But I digress again. So I actually had to take a breath at the end of that one. I got kind of spicy there. Switching up game styles, my family is a huge fan of the tabletop game Codenames. We own several versions of the classic word game, and now there's a new mobile version to play. You draw cards and you try to clue in your teammates on what a theme for several of those cards might be. It's all very mysterious and enigmatic, but it's fun to play while yelling at each other to try and slow down your competing teams. The mobile version brings new game modes and a solo mode that are also fun to waste some time, and these are unique new playstyles for the game that even the browser-based online version will lack. It's also one of the least expensive ways to jump into Codenames with $4.99 on Google Play. This is a loving port of a really fun party board game experience that I hope more people will check out. A lot of the games on a best of list are big sprawling adventures or they're technical, exciting combat, graphics rich experiences, but I was truly charmed by a little time waster called Drop Troop. The premise sounds familiar. You're a super space marine guy dropped onto an alien world to clear out infestations, while you also get challenges to restore communications or escort scientists across a landscape. But the twist is, it's a little pixel art game and you play with only one thumb. You move around, you auto-target the closest threats, and you lift your thumb to reload your weapon. Matches are short, challenges are hard, and this is another good one. It's a free demo with a single payment to unlock the whole game. I think it's a brilliant little time waster, perfectly built for short phone-based play sessions. If you want the full brutality of a Vampire Survivors, Halls of Torment might be your jam. It's a playstyle that really works for me. You just run around and kill as many monsters as you can while dodging attacks, and you get random upgrades, so you should start to feel like your character is laying waste to your enemies in spectacular fashion. It's a step up in graphics over most Survivor-style games. Halls of Torment brings a more Diablo-like gothic vibe, but keeps all the trappings like unlockable characters and a multitude of items and weapons to help you create the carnage. This is a really sweet spot for the developer, who also brought us games like Brotato and 20 Minutes Till Dawn to mobile. This is one I really hope fans of the genre will check out. And now lastly, closing out our list, I'm not a big fan of traditional card battlers, but what about poker? I love playing poker. So what if we created a poker solitaire where your poker hands defeat the small and big blinds as enemies, and as you bet chips and win cash, that's how you upgrade your cards and create better combo attacks. It's like perfectly designed in a lab to keep me hooked. Really simple graphics, but lots of impacts on animation, nice atmospheric music, solid sound effects, and short play sessions. Tons of replayability as you unlock new card decks and jokers as modifiers. It came out on PC earlier in the year. I think the best way to play it, though, is on a touchscreen. Balatro isn't just my favorite mobile game of the year. I have to give it a solid overall win as my favorite game of 2024. And that is my list. The top 12, 10 and 2 premium Android titles of the year. Our phones are driving incredible graphics-rich experiences, and developers, especially our precious indie devs, are bringing titles to Android faster than ever. We should keep an eye out and support good work where we find it. Plus, it's usually the cheapest way to get some of these games when you pick them up for your phone. Balatro is a great buy on Steam for $14.99, but I think it plays better on mobile, and on Android, it's $9.99. I just think the compute power on our phones could be put to much better use, while we also support business practices that we'd much rather see. So that's my list, my top 12 for 2024. And here is where I'm gonna turn it back over. We're gonna kind of jump back into the comments here and just kind of see what kind of thoughts, if there's anything that I've missed. What game came out in 2024? Are you playing games on your phone? I guess is also another important question. And what would you share? Like you're gonna be going to these family events and meetups, Christmas, are we just going through Thanksgiving? What do you hold up your phone and say, oh, have you tried this game? Are you going to give it a shot? Because I know for a fact Balatro is going to go over big with the rest of my family. So let's jump in here.